Keep quiet. Kiona or your family pays the price. Margaret's icy whisper cuts through the tense meeting room. Kiona Blackhawk's heart races. She's just uncovered a dark secret about a Lakota teen's abuse at the hands of a powerful man. But with her job and family on the line, will she dare to fight for justice? One wrong move could destroy everything she loves. Kiona Blackhawk, a 28-year-old Lakota woman, carries the weight of her past like a storm cloud over the Minneapolis skyline. A dedicated social worker at a youth community center, she pours her heart into helping teens escape the shadows she once knew. Raised in the gritty urban slums after her family fled the poverty of the Pine Ridge Reservation, Kiona's childhood was marked by hunger and loss. Her older brother Tommy succumbed to drug addiction, leaving behind a void of guilt that haunts her dreams. She couldn't save him. Now she lives in a cramped apartment with her gambling-addicted mother Mary, whose late-night casino binges pile up debts, and her 10-year-old niece, Lily, Tommy's daughter, whose bright eyes hide a fear of abandonment. Kiona fights to shield Lily from the path that claimed her father, but every day is a balancing act. At work, she faces subtle jabs and cold stares from white colleagues who dismiss her as too emotional or not professional enough. Torn between her duty to her family and her passion for justice, Kiona stands at a crossroads, her heart heavy with love and scars determined to carve a better future, despite the odds stacked against her. The fluorescent lights flicker above the crowded meeting room at the Minneapolis Youth Center, casting harsh shadows on Kiona Blackhawk's tired face. She sits at the back, her notebook open, but her eyes are drawn to Jason Little Elk, a 15-year-old Lakota boy slouched in a corner chair. His usual spark is gone, replaced by a hollow smutter and trembling hands clutching his hoodie. During a break, Kiona approaches him, her voice soft as she asks if he's okay. Jason's eyes dart nervously before he whispers a chilling truth. Richard Baxter, a senior staffer, has been abusing him. Shock surges through Kiona, her heart pounding as she processes the betrayal by someone trusted. She reports the accusation to Margaret Olson, the center's director, expecting swift action. But Margaret's cold dismissal. No proof. Kiona, don't stir trouble. Cuts like a blade. Kiona's fists clench under the table, anger battling disbelief. As the meeting ends, she watches Jason shuffle out, his shoulders hunched, and feels a fire ignite within her. She vows to protect him, but a gnawing fear whispers, what will this fight cost her family? Kiona's pulse races as she stands in Margaret Olson's sterile office, the air thick with tension. Margaret leans forward, her sharp eyes pinning Kiona like a predator. Keep pushing this, Kiona, and you're out of a job, she hisses, her voice low but venomous. Kiona's chest tightens. Losing her job would crush her ability to care for Lily and her mother. Merry rage bubbles inside her, fueled by Margaret's callous dismissal of Jason's pain, but fear creeps in, cold and heavy. As she leaves the office, her phone buzzes with a text from Mary. Another gambling loss, thousands owed to a casino. Kiona's stomach churns. The weight of her mother's debts feels like a noose tightening. She pictures Lily's innocent face, unaware of the storm brewing. Back at her desk, Kiona stares at Jason's file, her resolve wavering. Margaret's threat echoes in her mind, mingling with the image of her family's fragile life unraveling. Yet the fire in her heart refuses to die. She can't abandon Jason, torn between duty and survival. Kiona feels the walls closing in her breath, shallow with dread. Kiona pushes open the creaky door of her cramped apartment, the stale smell of cigarette smoke hitting her. Mary sprawls on the couch, eyes glassy from too much wine, muttering about her latest casino loss. Kiona, you gotta help me. 10 grand, or we're done, she slurs her voice. Desperate, Kiona's heart sinks, exhaustion warring with pity for her mother's weakness. Lily peeks from the hallway, clutching a worn teddy bear, and asks, "Is Daddy ever coming back?" The question slices through Kiona, dragging up memories of Tommy's lifeless face after his overdose. She kneels, hugging Lily tightly, whispering promises she's not sure she can keep. Mary's pleas grow louder, oblivious to Lily's pain, and Kiona feels trapped in a vice. Should she expose Baxter and risk her job, plunging her family deeper into debt, or stay silent, betraying Jason and her own moral core? The apartment walls seem to close in each creak, amplifying her dread. Kiona tucks Lily into bed, her niece's soft breathing a fragile anchor. Alone in the dark, Kiona's tears fall. She's standing on a razor's edge with no clear path forward. Kiona's phone vibrates in her pocket as she walks home under Minneapolis's gray sky, the city's hum drowned by her racing thoughts. She answers, and a gravelly voice snarls, 48 hours. Blackhawk, or your mom's in trouble. The loan shark's threat sends a chill down her spine, conjuring images of Mary bruised and broken. Kiona's low salary barely covers rent. There's no way to pay thousands now. Her breath catches panic rising like a tide. She ducks into an alley, leaning against a cold brick wall, trying to steady her shaking hands. The choice to pursue Baxter feels heavier. A lost job means no shield against these thugs. Yet Jason's terrified face flashes in her mind, urging her to fight. Kiona clenches her fists, resolve hardening despite the fear gnawing at her. She decides to gather evidence against Baxter, hoping it will protect Jason and buy time for her family. As she steps back onto the street, the city's neon lights blur through her tears. Each step feels like defiance, but the shadow of the debt looms larger, threatening to swallow her whole. Kiona finds Jason in the center's quiet library, his eyes downcast, hiding behind a stack of books. She sits beside him, her voice gentle, urging him to share his story. Hesitant. At first, Jason's words spill out details of Baxter's abuse, each one a dagger to Kiona's heart. She pulls out her phone, asking permission to record, and Jason nods his trust. Fragile but real. His voice trembles as he recounts the fear and shame. And Kiona fights back tears, her anger at Baxter blazing hotter. He whispers about fearing retaliation, his hands fidgeting nervously. Kiona promises to protect him, though her own fears of Margaret's threats and the loan sharks lurk in her mind. Armed with the recording, she marches to Margaret's office, heart pounding with hope that this evidence will force action. But as she knocks on the door, doubt creeps in. Will Margaret listen? Or will this spark a bigger storm? Kiona's hand shakes on the doorknob, Jason's courage fueling her own. She steps inside, determined to fight no matter the cost. Kiona stands rigid in Margaret Olson's office, the recorded confession of Jason's abuse burning a hole in her pocket. She plays the tape, expecting outrage, but Margaret's face remains a mask of cold disdain. That boy's a liar, she snaps, waving a dismissive hand. And you're gullible for believing him. Her words sting, shattering Kiona's hope like glass. Margaret leans closer, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper. Push this further, and I'll report you to the board for slander. Kiona's heart sinks, her trust in the system crumbling. She senses a darker truth. Margaret's protecting something or someone. As she leaves, the office's sterile walls seem to mock her defeat. Back at her desk, Kiona replays Jason's trembling voice in her mind, guilt gnawing at her for failing him. Anger flares, mixing with a growing suspicion that Margaret's dismissal is no accident. She clutches the recorder, her resolve flickering but not extinguished. The weight of Margaret's threat presses down, but Kiona knows she can't stop now. Jason's haunted eyes demand justice, and she won't let them down again. Kiona slumps at the break room table, the hum of the vending machine filling the silence. Her mind churns with Margaret's cruel words. When Eddie Crow, a colleague, slides into the chair across from her, his kind eyes soften as Kiona spills her frustration about Jason and Margaret's threats. Eddie listens, his usual neutrality giving way to quiet empathy. Baxter's been accused before he admits, glancing around nervously, but the complaints vanished. Someone covered it up. Kiona's pulse quickens. This revelation is a lifeline in her storm. She presses Eddie for details, but he hesitates, wary of crossing Margaret. The break room's fluorescent glow feels oppressive, mirroring the weight of her choice. Kiona. Thanks, Eddie, her voice steady, despite the turmoil inside. Alone again. She stares at her coffee now. Cold, and feels a spark of determination ignite. Baxter's past is a thread she can pull a chance to unravel the truth. Her fear of losing her job lingers, but Eddie's words fuel her resolve. She decides to dig into Baxter's history, no matter the risk, her heart pounding with a mix of dread and defiance. The Minneapolis streets are cloaked in dusk as Kiona hurries home, her breath visible in the chilly air. Two burly men step from the shadows blocking her path, their faces hard as stone. "Your mom owes us." "Big Blackhawk." One growls, cracking his knuckles. "Pay up or she's done." Kiona's stomach lurches, her promise to protect Mary flashing in her mind. She stammers, "I'll get the money," but a sharp shove sends her stumbling, a warning that leaves her cheek stinging. The men vanish into the night, their laughter echoing like a bad dream. Kiona collapses against a lamppost, her body trembling with fear for Lily's safety. The neon signs above blur through her tears, each pulse of light a reminder of her dwindling options. Losing her job now would leave them defenseless against these thugs. Yet Jason's plea for help burns in her chest, refusing to be ignored. Kiona wipes her face, her fear hardening into resolve. She won't let these men or Baxter break her. Clutching her bag, she walks on the city's dangers closing in, but her fight for justice growing stronger. Kiona slips into the dimly lit apartment, the faint glow of a table lamp casting long shadows. Lily sits on the floor, coloring her small face etched with worry. Kiona kneels beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her niece's eyes, and promises, "I'll always keep you safe." "Okay?" Lily's voice is small. "Will you leave me like Daddy did?" The question rips through Kiona, dragging up the ghost of Tommy's overdose, his lifeless eyes haunting her. She pulls Lily into a tight hug, her throat tight with unshed tears. Mary's snores drift from the couch, oblivious to the pain in the room, and Kiona feels the weight of her family's fragility. Lily's fear mirrors her own. Abandoning Baxter's case could save them, but at what cost to her soul? The apartment's peeling walls seem to close in, each crack a reminder of their precarious life. Kiona kisses Lily's forehead, her resolve steeling. She won't let Baxter's evil spread, not while she can fight. As Lily clings to her, Kiona's heart aches with love and determination, vowing to protect her niece, no matter the storm ahead. Under the cover of night, Kiona creeps into the youth center, her flashlight cutting through the darkness of Baxter's office. Her heart pounds as she rifles through his desk papers, rustling like whispers of betrayal. A folder catches her eye, stuffed with financial records that don't add up, strange transfers and coded names. Kiona's breath catches. This could be proof of something sinister at the center. She tucks the documents into her bag, her fingers trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. The office's silence feels heavy, as if the walls know her secret. She wonders if Margaret's involved, her earlier dismissal now seeming calculated. As she slips out, the hallway shadows loom, mirroring the risks she's taking. Back in her car, Kiona clutches the folder, her mind racing with questions. What are these transactions hiding? She decides to find someone to analyze them, her determination flaring despite the danger. The city's neon lights flash outside, a stark contrast to the dark truth she's uncovering. Kiona drives home, the weight of the documents a heavy promise. She's one step closer to justice, but the path is fraught with peril. Kiona knocks on the faded door of a small apartment, her nerves frayed under Minneapolis's rainy sky. Dr. Naomi Foster, a former psychologist at the youth center, opens it, her warm eyes softening at Kiona's weary expression. Over steaming tea, Kiona shares her fight against Baxter's abuse of Jason. Naomi's face darkens as she reveals a chilling truth. Baxter was suspected of abusing kids years ago, but Margaret buried the complaints. Kiona's heart races. This confirms her suspicions of a cover-up. Naomi rummages through a box, handing Kiona a yellowed file, detailing Baxter's past allegations. The paper feels heavy in her hands, a fragile hope amidst her storm. Naomi warns her to be careful, noting Margaret's ruthless influence. As Kiona leaves, the rain soaks her coat, but a spark of determination burns inside. She clutches the file tightly, her mind swirling with questions about Margaret's motives. The city's wet streets glisten, reflecting her resolve to expose the truth. Yet fear lingers. Will this file be enough, or is she walking into a trap? Kiona sits in her dimly lit apartment, Naomi's file spread across the table like a map to justice. Her heart lifts for the first time in days. She finally has a weapon against Baxter. She dials a human rights lawyer, her voice steady as she explains Jason's case and the file's contents. The lawyer, Ms. Carter, listens intently, but delivers a sobering warning. This is a start, but you'll need stronger evidence to win. Kiona's hope falters, the room's shadows creeping closer. She flips through the file again, its faded pages whispering of past injustices. Her thoughts drift to Lily sleeping soundly in the next room and the loan shark circling her mother. The weight of her dual battles, family and justice, presses down, but Kiona refuses to break. She scribbles notes, planning to gather more proof. Her pen scratching like a heartbeat. The city's neon lights pulse outside her window, a reminder of the fight ahead. Kiona's eyes burn with exhaustion, but a flicker of optimism persists. She tucks the file away, vowing to keep pushing, no matter how steep the climb. Kiona hurries through a dark alley, her breath visible in the cold Minneapolis night. Headlights flash, and two loan sharks step from a car, their hulking figures blocking her path. Time's up. Blackhawk 1 snarls, demanding immediate payment for Mary's debts. Kiona's chest tightens. She borrowed a small sum from friends, but it's nowhere near enough. A rough hand grabs her coat, slamming her against a wall, the impact jarring her bones. Next time, it's your mom. The other growls, leaving her gasping. Kiona slides to the ground, her body trembling as their car roars away. Tears sting her eyes, but her fear for Lily and Mary fuels a desperate resolve. She stumbles home, the city's grim streets mirroring her turmoil. The fight against Baxter feels like a distant dream when survival is at stake. Yet Jason's haunted face lingers in her mind, urging her to press on. Kiona clenches her fists, realizing she must tackle both the loan sharks and Baxter's crimes. Her heart pounds with dread, but a fierce determination takes root. She won't let these threats silence her. Kiona sips coffee at a rundown diner, her thoughts tangled in fear and hope. A woman slides into the booth across from her. Detective Carla Ruiz, her sharp eyes glinting under the diner's flickering lights. "I'm investigating a local crime ring," Carla says, her voice low. "And your center's involved." Kiona freezes her coffee cup, trembling in her hands. Carla hints at money laundering, but keeps details vague, watching Kiona closely. Suspicion coils in Kiona's gut. She's been burned by false allies. Before, Carla slides a business card across the table, urging Kiona to share any leads. As Carla leaves, the diner's greasy air feels stifling, mirroring Kiona's unease. She stares at the card, torn between distrust and the chance to expose Baxter's secrets. Her mind races to Lily and Mary, their safety hanging by a thread. The neon sign outside buzzes, echoing her indecision. Kiona pockets the card, her heart heavy with doubt, but stirred by a faint hope. Could Carla be the key to justice, or another trap in her crumbling world? Kiona meets Carla in a shadowy park, the rustle of leaves masking their whispers. They pore over the financial documents Kiona stole from Baxter's office, their flashlight casting eerie glows. Carla's expertise unravels the truth. The center funnels community grants into a money-laundering scheme for Vincent Malone's crime syndicate. Kiona's jaw drops shock coursing through her as she realizes Baxter and Margaret are masterminds. Her hands shake, clutching the papers that expose a web of betrayal. Carla's calm voice steadies her, but Kiona's mind reels how many kids like Jason were used in this scheme. She thinks of Margaret's cold dismissal, now clearly a calculated lie. The park's darkness feels suffocating, reflecting the weight of this discovery. Kiona hides the documents in her bag, her resolve hardening despite the danger. She agrees to help Carla dig deeper, knowing the risks to her family are higher than ever. As they part ways, the city's distant lights flicker a stark contrast to the sinister truth she's uncovered. Kiona's heart pounds with fear and fury. She's in too deep to turn back now. Kiona huddles with Carla under a flickering street lamp, the Minneapolis night, heavy with secrets. Carla's voice is grim as she drops a bombshell. Baxter isn't just abusing teens like Jason, he's forcing them to smuggle drugs for Vincent Malone's syndicate. Kiona's blood runs cold, her stomach twisting with rage at the betrayal of vulnerable kids. She pictures Jason's haunted eyes, now understanding the deeper horror he's endured. The city's distant sirens wail, echoing her fury. Carla explains how the center's mentorship programs mask this exploitation, a truth that shatters Kiona's view of her workplace. Her fists clench, nails digging into her palms as she grapples with the crime's scale. Despite the danger, loan sharks, Margaret's threats, Kiona's resolve hardens. She nods to Carla, committing to their risky partnership, her heart pounding with fear and defiance. As they part, the street lamp buzzes, casting jagged shadows that mirror her turmoil. Kiona walks away, the weight of this children's lives in her hands, determined to expose the monsters preying on her community. Kiona slips into the youth center's break room, her movements cautious like a deer, sensing danger. Eddie Crow, usually friendly, watches her with narrowed eyes, noticing her secretive glances at Baxter's office. "What's going on, Kiona?" he asks, his tone sharp, laced with suspicion. Kiona brushes it off, her smile forced, but her heart races. She can't trust anyone yet. Later, she overhears a white colleague, Karen, whispering to others, "Kiona's just stirring trouble for attention." The words sting, isolating her in the place she once felt safe. The break room's stale coffee smell chokes her, mirroring the suffocating tension. Kiona's chest tightens as Karen's gossip spreads, her co-workers' sidelong glances cutting deeper than words. She thinks of Lily and Mary, their fragile lives depending on her job. The weight of being an outsider. A Lakota woman in a white world crashes down, alone at her desk. Kiona feels like a lone warrior surrounded by unseen enemies. Yet Jason's courage fuels her. She straightens her jaw, set, vowing to keep fighting despite the growing loneliness. Kiona finds Mary slumped on their apartment's worn couch, the air thick with the sour scent of cheap wine. Mary's eyes, red and glassy, meet Kiona's, and she mumbles, "I worked for Vincent to pay debts. I didn't know about the drugs." The confession hits Kiona like a punch, betrayal slicing through her love for her mother. She sinks beside Mary, her heart aching as memories of Tommy's addiction flood back. Mary's trembling hand reaches for hers, pleading for forgiveness. But Kiona's trust frays. The apartment's dim light casts long shadows, reflecting her inner turmoil. Despite the pain, Kiona's love for her mother endures. She promises to protect Mary and Lily. Her voice breaking, Mary sobs her weakness, a mirror of their fractured family. Kiona's resolve hardens. She can't let Vincent's evil touch them. As Mary drifts to sleep, Kiona sits in the dark, torn between anger and compassion, her promise a heavy anchor in the storm. Kiona picks Lily up from school, her niece's small hand cold in hers. Under the gray Minneapolis sky, Lily whispers, "A strange man was watching me near the playground." Kiona's heart lurches, panic surging as she suspects Vincent's men targeting Lily to silence her. Her eyes scan the street. Every shadow, a potential threat at home. Lily clings to her beer in her wide eyes, and Kiona's chest aches with guilt for dragging her into this mess. She calls a trusted friend, Sarah, arranging for Lily to stay there for safety, packing Lily's favorite stuffed bear. Kiona forces a smile, promising they'll be together soon. The apartment feels empty as she drives Lily to Sarah's, the city's neon lights blurring through her tears. Kiona's mind races. Vincent's reach is tightening, threatening her heart's core. She hugs Lily tightly at Sarah's door, her resolve steeling to stop Vincent before he strikes again. Kiona's phone buzzes in the dead of night, shattering the silence of her apartment. A chilling text from an unknown number reads, "We have Lily. Hand over the evidence, or she's gone." Kiona's world collapses, her scream muffled by her trembling hands. She pictures Lily's terrified face, and guilt crashes over her. She's failed her niece, pacing the creaky floor. Her mind spirals. Vincent's men have crossed the ultimate line. The apartment's peeling walls close in each shadow, a taunt of her powerlessness. Kiona clutches the stolen documents, their weight a cruel reminder of her choice to fight. Despair claws at her, but a flicker of defiance sparks. She won't let Vincent win. She texts Carla, begging for help, her fingers shaking with urgency. The city outside is silent, its darkness swallowing her hope. Kiona sinks to her knees, tears streaming, feeling the depth of her failure, but clinging to a desperate vow, she'll save Lily, no matter the cost. Kiona sits in her darkened apartment, the chilling text about Lily's kidnapping glowing on her phone. Her hands shake, but she refuses to surrender the evidence to Vincent, her heart blazing with defiance. She pictures Lily's frightened face, fueling her resolve to save her niece and destroy Vincent's empire. Kiona dials Carla, her voice urgent as she proposes a bold plan, a police raid on Vincent's hideout. Carla's tone is grave warning. "This could cost lives. Kiona, yours included." The words hang heavy, the apartment's silence amplifying Kiona's fear. She thinks of Mary's sacrifice and Jason's suffering. Knowing retreat isn't an option, her fingers clutch the stolen documents, a lifeline in her desperate fight. Outside Minneapolis's neon lights flicker, a stark reminder of the danger ahead. Kiona nods to herself, tears streaming down her face, committing to the risky path. She texts Carla to confirm, her heart pounding with a mix of terror and determination. The night feels endless, but Kiona's choice is clear. She'll risk everything to bring Lily home and end Vincent's reign. Kiona corners Eddie in the youth center's empty hallway, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Her voice trembles as she reveals the truth. Baxter's abuse, Vincent's drug ring, and Lily's kidnapping. Eddie's eyes widen, guilt flashing across his face for staying neutral too long. "I'm in," he says, his voice firm, eager to make amends. They huddle in a corner, sketching a plan to fake loyalty to Margaret and steal more evidence from her office. Kiona's heart races. Eddie's help is a lifeline, but the risk of betrayal looms. The hallway's cold tiles reflect her unease, each echo amplifying her stakes. Eddie shares a nervous smile, his commitment easing her isolation. Kiona thinks of Lily trapped somewhere dark, and her resolve hardens. They agree to act that night, their whispers urgent under the center's watchful walls. As they part, Kiona feels a flicker of hope, tempered by fear of what lies ahead. Eddie's nod is a silent vow binding them in this dangerous fight. Kiona and Eddie slip into the youth center after midnight, their flashlights slicing through the darkness. Margaret's office looms ahead, its locked door a challenge to their mission. Kiona picks the lock, her hand steady despite her racing pulse, and they step into the sterile space. They rummage through files, finding a ledger listing illicit transactions tied to Vincent's syndicate. Kiona's breath catches. Here's the proof to bury Margaret and Vincent. She tucks the ledger into her bag, hope surging like a flame. But worry gnaws at her. Lily's safety hangs by a thread. The office's silence feels oppressive, each creak spiking their nerves. Eddie whispers encouragement, his presence a small comfort. As they slip out, the center's shadows seem to watch, a reminder of the danger they're courting. Kiona grips the ledger, her mind torn between triumph and fear for Lily. Minneapolis's distant lights glow outside, urging her to keep fighting. She and Eddie part quietly, the weight of their find a fragile promise of justice. Kiona waits in her car, the stolen ledger heavy in her lap, when her phone buzzes with Eddie's frantic message. "Vincent's men found me." Her heart plummets, guilt flooding her for pulling him into this danger. She learns Vincent's thugs caught Eddie snooping in the center's servers, beating him brutally. Kiona's hands shake as she reads Eddie's last text, a fan with more laundering data sent before he collapsed. She pictures Eddie's kind face now bloodied, and tears blur her vision. The city's neon signs pulse outside, mocking her with their cold glow. Kiona's guilt deepens, but Eddie's sacrifice fuels her fire. She can't let his pain be for nothing. She forwards the file to Carla, her resolve hardening like steel. The car's dim interior feels like a cage, trapping her in fear and sorrow. Kiona whispers a promise to Eddie, vowing to finish their fight. Her heart aches, but she drives on the ledger and Eddie's data, her only weapons against Vincent's darkness. Kiona meets Carla in a deserted warehouse, the air thick with dust and secrets as they review the ledger. Kiona stumbles on a file revealing Carla's past. She once worked for a rival gang, driven to destroy Vincent after they killed her sister. Kiona's trust wavers, her stomach churning at the thought of Carla's hidden motives. Carla meets her gaze unflinching, admitting her personal vendetta, but insisting their goals align. Kiona's mind races. Can she rely on someone with such a tangled history? Lily's kidnapping looms, and Carla's police connections are Kiona's only hope. The warehouse's cracked walls loom, echoing her doubt. Kiona takes a deep breath, choosing to trust Carla, her heart pounding with uncertainty. She hands over Eddie's data, sealing their uneasy alliance. As they plan the raid, Minneapolis's distant skyline glimmers a faint beacon in the dark. Kiona's fear lingers, but Lily's life depends on this leap of faith. Kiona sits in a dimly lit police station, her hands gripping a coffee mug as Carla outlines the raid on Vincent's hideout. The room hums with tension, officers mapping out entry points on a worn blueprint. Carla explains how the stolen ledger and Eddie's data will nail Vincent and Margaret for money. Laundering, Kiona's heart pounds, picturing Lily trapped in Vincent's clutches. She nods, agreeing to join the raid to find her niece, though fear churns in her gut. Carla's stern gaze softens, acknowledging the danger, but Kiona's resolve is ironclad. She'll save Lily or die trying. The station's fluorescent lights buzz, mirroring her racing thoughts. Kiona traces Lily's name on the mug, her love for her niece drowning out the fear. Officers load their gear, their radios crackling, and Kiona feels the weight of the coming battle. Minneapolis's skyline looms outside its cold lights, a reminder of the stakes. She whispers a prayer, steeling herself for the fight ahead. Kiona strides into the youth center, her boots echoing in the empty hall, and faces Margaret in her pristine office. "I have proof of your money laundering," Kiona says, her voice steady, holding up the ledger's copied pages. Margaret's face pales, her composed mask cracking as panic flickers in her eyes. She stammers, offering Kiona a bribe money. A promotion, but Kiona cuts her off, disgust burning in her chest. Margaret's hand trembles, reaching for her phone, and Kiona catches her dialing Vincent, warning him of the raid. "You're finished?" Kiona snaps, her anger fueled by Jason's pain and Lily's danger. The office's cold air feels charged, Margaret's desperation clashing with Kiona's resolve. She turns to leave, but Margaret's venomous glare follows her, a silent threat. Kiona's heart races, knowing she's provoked a cornered snake. Outside, the center's fluorescent lights flicker, echoing the storm she's unleashed. She texts Carla about Margaret's call, her defiance tempered by fear for what Vincent will do next. The night is thick with tension as Carla leads the police team through Minneapolis's grimy alleys to Vincent's warehouse. Kiona, clad in a bulletproof vest, follows her heart, hammering with fear and hope. Sirens wail in the distance, the city's pulse matching her own. The team breaches the warehouse door, flashlights cutting through the dark, and chaos erupts. Vincent's thugs fire back. Kiona ducks behind crates, her eyes scanning for Lily amidst the gunfire's roar. A thug lunges at her, his knife glinting, but Kiona dodges, adrenaline surging. Carla's sharp commands keep the team focused, her silhouette, a beacon in the fray. Kiona's breath catches as bullets whiz past each one, a reminder of the stakes. She pushes forward, driven by Lily's face. In her mind, ignoring the danger, the warehouse's dank air chokes her, its shadows hiding threats. Kiona spots a locked door, her gut screaming, it's where Lily's held, and she sprints toward it, heart ablaze with desperation. Kiona kicks open the locked door, revealing a damp concrete room where Lily cowers, her small frame. Trembling. Aunt Kiona. Lily sobs, rushing into her arms, safe but shaken. Kiona's heart swells, tears mixing with relief as she hugs her niece tightly. "I'll never let you get hurt again," she whispers, her voice breaking with love. The room's flickering bulb casts eerie shadows, a stark contrast to their reunion's warmth. Kiona checks Lily for injuries, her hands gentle but urgent, finding only bruises. They hurry toward the exit, but Vincent's heavy footsteps echo behind them, blocking their path. His cold eyes lock onto Kiona, a predator sensing prey, and fear grips her anew. The warehouse's gunfire rages outside, a distant roar, as Kiona shields Lily, her body tense. She whispers reassurances to Lily, her resolve unwavering despite the looming threat. The room's dank walls seem to close in, trapping them in Vincent's shadow, but Kiona's love for Lily burns brighter than her fear. Vincent looms in the doorway, his gun trained on Lily, his voice a low growl. "Hand over the evidence, or she dies." Kiona's heart freezes, Lily's terrified whimper cutting through her. She raises her hands, feigning surrender, but her eyes dart to her phone, secretly signaling Carla. "Okay, you win." Kiona lies, her voice steady, despite the panic clawing her chest. Vincent's smirk is cruel, unaware of the trap. Suddenly, Carla and the police burst through the warehouse's side entrance, their shouts and gunfire shattering the tense silence. Vincent wheels around, firing wildly, and Kiona pulls Lily behind a crate, shielding her bullets ricochet off the concrete, the air thick with smoke and chaos. Kiona's pulse thunders, her body pressed against Lily's, praying for their survival. Carla's silhouette moves through the haze, a relentless force closing in on Vincent. The warehouse's dim lights flicker, casting the scene in a surreal glow as Kiona clings to hope amidst the deadly clash. The warehouse echoes with gunfire as Kiona shields Lily behind a crate, Vincent's shadow looming. Suddenly, Mary stumbles through the chaos, her frail figure defiant despite her trembling hands. "Leave my family alone," she shouts, facing Vincent, the man who once forced her into his schemes. Kiona's heart lurches, shock mixing with dread as Mary steps between them and Vincent. His cold eyes narrow, and without warning, he fires the bullet, striking Mary's chest. She collapses, blood staining her worn coat, and Kiona screams, crawling to her mother's side. Mary's weak hand grasps hers, a final act of love, as she urges Kiona to flee with Lily. Kiona sobs, pulling Lily away as police close and the warehouse's dim lights flickering over Mary's still form. The air grows heavy with smoke, but Kiona runs Lily's hand tight in hers, propelled by Mary's sacrifice. Her mother's courage burns in her chest, a painful spark amidst the terror driving her to safety. The warehouse erupts in chaos as Carla's precise shot hits Vincent's shoulder, sending him sprawling. Police swarm, cuffing his wrists as he snarls. Powerless at last, Kiona kneels beside Mary, cradling her mother's fading form, her hands slick with blood. Mary's eyes flutter a faint smile, breaking through her pain before she slips away. Kiona's wail echoes grief, tearing her apart, even as Vincent's capture signals victory. Lily clings to her trembling, and Kiona pulls her close. Their shared loss, a heavy bond. The warehouse's smoky air stings her eyes, its flickering lights casting a surreal glow over the scene. Carla approaches, her face grim but relieved, nodding at Vincent's arrest. Kiona feels a hollow triumph, justice for Jason and the others, but at the cost of her mother's life. Her heart aches, torn between relief and sorrow as officers secure the scene. Minneapolis's distant skyline glimmers a cold witness to her bittersweet win. The warehouse erupts in chaos as Carla's precise shot hits Vincent's shoulder, sending him sprawling. Police swarm, cuffing his wrists as he snarls, powerless. At last, Kiona kneels beside Mary, cradling her mother's fading form, her hands slick with blood. Mary's eyes flutter a faint smile, breaking through her pain before she slips away. Kiona's wail echoes grief tearing her apart, even as Vincent's capture signals victory. Lily clings to her trembling, and Kiona pulls her close, their shared loss a heavy bond. The warehouse's smoky air stings her eyes, its flickering lights casting a surreal glow over the scene. Carla approaches, her face grim but relieved, nodding at Vincent's arrest. Kiona feels a hollow triumph, justice for Jason and the others, but at the cost of her mother's life. Her heart aches, torn between relief and sorrow as officers secure the scene. Minneapolis's distant skyline glimmers a cold witness to her bittersweet win. Kiona stands outside the police station, the morning sun harsh on her tear-streaked face as Baxter is escorted in chains. His smug grin is gone, replaced by a scowl as officers charge him with abuse and complicity in Vincent's crimes. Kiona's heart swells with justice. Jason's tormentor will pay. She learns Jason has been placed in a trauma recovery program, a step toward healing that eases her guilt. The station's bustle fades as she recalls Jason's trembling voice now avenged. Yet Mary's sacrifice haunts her, a bitter price for this victory. Kiona's hands clench her nails, digging into her palms, a mix of triumph and loss, churning inside. The city's skyline looms its steel towers indifferent to her pain. She thinks of the other teens Baxter hurt, vowing to honor their courage. As Baxter disappears into the station, Kiona feels a quiet strength. She's given Jason a chance at peace, even if her own heart remains broken. Kiona guides Lily into their apartment, the silence heavy without Mary's chaotic presence. She tucks Lily into bed, her niece's small frame curled under a worn blanket. "Where's Grandma?" Lily asks, her voice trembling, and Kiona's throat tightens. She sits beside Lily, stroking her hair, and gently explains. Mary's sacrifice. Tears falling as she speaks of her mother's love. Lily sobs, clutching Kiona, and they hold each other, their grief, a shared wound. Kiona promises to raise Lily as her own, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. The apartment's dim light casts soft shadows, a fragile cocoon for their healing. Kiona feels the enormity of her role, mother protector, survivor, pressing down. But Lily's trust fuels her strength. Outside, Minneapolis's lights glow faintly, a reminder of the world they'll face together. Kiona kisses Lily's forehead, vowing to build a safe future, her heart heavy but resolute. Kiona sits in her quiet apartment, Lily asleep nearby, when Dr. Naomi Foster knocks softly. Naomi's warm smile eases Kiona's heavy heart as she offers to connect Lily with a trauma counselor. She also arranges therapy for Kiona, recognizing her unspoken grief over Mary. Naomi's gentle voice shares resources, her presence a lifeline in Kiona's storm. She hands Kiona legal documents offering to help prepare her testimony against Vincent's network. Kiona's eyes well up, gratitude mingling with exhaustion. She's no longer alone. The apartment's dim lamp casts a soft glow, a rare moment of calm amidst chaos. Naomi shares a story of her own struggles, bonding them further. Kiona feels a spark of strength, bolstered by this new ally. As Naomi leaves, Minneapolis's skyline twinkles outside, a quiet promise of support. Kiona clutches the documents, her resolve renewed, knowing Naomi's help could tip the scales for justice. Kiona stands in the crowded courtroom, her palms sweaty as she faces Vincent, Margaret, and Baxter, their cold stares piercing her. She takes the stand, her voice steady, recounting the horrors of their money laundering and teen exploitation. Holding up the ledger and Eddie's data, she lays bare their crimes, her words cutting through the room's tense air. The judge listens intently and whispers ripple through the gallery as public interest surges. Kiona's heart races, Mary's sacrifice fueling her courage. Vincent's smirk falters. Margaret shifts nervously and Baxter avoids her gaze, signs of their crumbling power. The courtroom's high ceilings loom, amplifying her voice and stakes. Outside, reporters gather their cameras, flashing like vultures circling Kiona. Steps down her legs, shaky but her spirit unbroken. The city's gray skyline looms through the windows, a silent witness to her fight. She feels the weight of the world watching, yet presses on for Jason and Lily. Kiona flips through news channels in her apartment, her stomach sinking as headlines brand her a troublemaker stirring drama. Tabloids twist her fight, painting her as an attention seeker, their words like knives in her heart. She slumps on the couch, the room's shadows mirroring her hurt. Carla calls her firm voice, urging Kiona to ignore the lies, while Naomi visits, offering a comforting hug and wise words. Your truth will shine. Their support steadies Kiona, though the sting of betrayal lingers. She scrolls through cruel online comments, each one a blow to her spirit. The city's neon lights glare through her window, a harsh reminder of the spotlight's cruelty. Kiona's resolve hardens. She won't let slander silence her. She contacts a local TV station, deciding to share her story publicly, her hands trembling with defiance. Lily's soft breathing from the next room anchors her, pushing her to fight on, despite the media's venom. Kiona sits under bright studio lights, her heart pounding as the TV host introduces her. She speaks clearly, detailing her battle against Vincent's syndicate and the abuse of native teens like Jason. Her voice cracks when she mentions Mary's sacrifice, tears glistening but unashamed. The camera zooms in, capturing her raw passion as she calls for justice and protection for vulnerable youth. The crew applauds softly, moved by her courage, and Kiona feels a surge of hope. The interview airs, sparking social media buzz with supporters praising her bravery. Minneapolis's skyline glows outside the studio, reflecting a shift in public perception. Kiona watches the broadcast at home, Lily curled beside her, and feels the tide turning. She reads messages from native families, their gratitude warming her wounded heart, yet the weight of her loss lingers, a quiet ache beneath her triumph. Kiona vows to keep speaking, her voice now a beacon for change. Kiona visits Eddie in the hospital, his bruised face lighting up when he sees her. "You kept going," he says, his voice weak but grateful, thanking her for bringing down Vincent. Eddie shares his plan to help reform the youth center, his eyes bright with purpose. Kiona's heart lifts, his recovery, a small victory in her sea of loss. The hospital's sterile smell stings, but Eddie's courage warms her. She recounts the trial's progress, their shared fight binding them closer. Eddie grips her hand, his strength returning, and Kiona feels a rush of renewed energy. Minneapolis's skyline peeks through the window, its lights softer now, like a promise of healing. She thinks of Mary and Jason, their sacrifices driving her forward. As she leaves, Kiona's steps are lighter. Eddie's resilience, a spark igniting her own. She vows to honor their shared struggle, her spirit bolstered by his survival. Kiona stands in a bustling community hall, its walls adorned with Lakota art as she hosts a fundraiser for Native youth. Her voice rings out, sharing her fight to protect teens like Jason from exploitation. The crowd elders, families, youth listens, their faces glowing with pride. She invites Jason and his family to join, and his shy smile as he accepts a gift warms Kiona's heart. Volunteers pass out flyers, their energy infectious, and Kiona feels a spark of purpose reignite. The hall's warm lights contrast with Minneapolis's cold skyline outside a beacon of hope. Jason's mother hugs Kiona, whispering thanks, and Kiona's eyes well up. Sensing Mary's spirit in the moment, she organizes art workshops for the kids, watching them laugh, and finds meaning in her work. Again, the event raises funds for counseling and education, a step toward healing. Kiona's chest swells with pride, her community's strength, lifting her grief, anchoring her to a brighter future. Kiona sifts through Mary's old belongings in their quiet apartment, her fingers brushing a faded envelope. Inside, a letter from Mary reveals a heart-wrenching truth. She worked for Vincent to shield Kiona and Lily from his wrath. Kiona's breath catches pain surging as she reads Mary's words of love and regret. Tears stream down her face, the sting of betrayal softening into awe at her mother's sacrifice. The apartment's dim light flickers, casting shadows that feel like Mary's presence. Kiona clutches the letter, her heart torn between grief and gratitude. She thinks of Lily sleeping peacefully and vows to live a life worthy of Mary's courage. Minneapolis's neon glow seeps through the window, a quiet reminder of the world Mary fought for. Kiona tucks the letter away, her resolve hardening to honor her mother's legacy. The silence wraps around her, heavy but comforting, as she embraces Mary's love anew. Kiona meets Carla at a small cafe, the aroma of coffee grounding their heavy talk. Carla's eyes soften as she confesses her sister died at the hands of a crime ring. Like Vincent's driving her to dismantle his empire, Kiona's heart aches. Seeing Carla's pain mirror her own loss of Mary. The cafe's warm lights contrast with the cold truth, forging a bond between them. Carla admits her personal stake made her relentless, and Kiona nods, respecting her honesty. They share a quiet moment sipping coffee, their mutual trust deepening. Minneapolis's skyline glitters outside, a symbol of their shared fight. Kiona feels a weight lift. She's not alone anymore. Carla squeezes her hand, a gesture of friendship, and Kiona smiles her spirit. Buoyed. The cafe's hum fades as Kiona embraces this new connection, ready to face the trial's end, with Carla by her side. Kiona walks through the youth center, its halls now alive with new energy under a reformed board's oversight. Posters for youth programs line the walls, a stark contrast to its dark past. A board member approaches, offering Kiona a consultant role, praising her courage. She declines, her heart set on raising Lily, but smiles at the center's transformation. The sunlight streaming through the windows bathes the space in hope, easing Kiona's scars. She thinks of Jason and the teens now safe. Her chest swelling with satisfaction, the center's old ghosts. Margaret's lies, Baxter's crimes fade in the light of change. Kiona runs her hand along a mural painted by kids, Mary's memory lingering in her pride. Minneapolis's skyline stands tall outside, a witness to the center's rebirth. Kiona leaves her steps, light content, knowing her fight sparked this renewal even as she carries her grief. Kiona meets Jason at a Lakota cultural event, his face brighter than she's ever seen. He hugs her, whispering, "Thank you for saving me," his voice thick with gratitude. Kiona's eyes tear up, her heart full, as Jason describes joining drum circles, reconnecting with his heritage. The event's vibrant colors, beaded regalia, swirling dancers mirror his newfound pride. Jason introduces Kiona to his counselor, who praises his progress, and Kiona feels her efforts validated. The bonfire's warmth envelops them, a stark contrast to the cold nights of their fight. She thinks of Mary, wishing she could see this healing. Minneapolis's stars peek through the night sky, a quiet nod to Jason's strength. Kiona watches him laugh with friends, her soul lighter. Knowing her work mattered, she vows to keep supporting him, her purpose clear amidst the community's embrace. Kiona kneels before Tommy's weathered gravestone, the wind whispering through the Minneapolis cemetery. She traces his name, her voice soft as she recounts her battle against Vincent and Mary's sacrifice. Tears fall as she admits her guilt for not saving him from addiction's grip. The gray sky looms heavy with memories of Tommy's laughter. Now silenced, Kiona whispers forgiveness to herself, a weight lifting from her heart. She vows to protect Lily, her promise echoing in the quiet. The cemetery's bare trees sway a solemn nod to her healing. Kiona places a small Lakota prayer tie on the grave, its colors bright against the stone. Minneapolis's distant skyline fades in the dusk, a backdrop to her newfound peace. She stands feeling lighter, as if Tommy's spirit embraces her. Her steps are steady, carrying her forward with resolve to honor her brother's memory through Lily's future. Kiona watches Lily at a Lakota cultural class, her niece's eyes bright as she learns traditional beadwork. Lily's report card, tucked in Kiona's bag, shows improved grades, a sign of her growing confidence. At home, Lily shyly hands Kiona a colorful drawing of their family. Kiona, Lily, and Mary under a vibrant sky. Kiona's throat tightens, tears welling as she hugs Lily, overwhelmed by love. The apartment's warm light bathes them, a cocoon of hope after so much pain. Lily chatters about her new friends, her laughter a melody Kiona cherishes. Minneapolis's skyline twinkles outside its lights, mirroring Kiona's optimism. She tucks the drawing above her desk, a daily reminder of their bond. Kiona feels a surge of hope for Lily's future, her heart swelling with possibility. She kisses Lily's forehead, promising a life filled with love, her spirit lifted by the child who's become her world. Kiona sits in the packed courtroom, her heart pounding as the judge delivers the verdict. Vincent, Margaret, and Baxter face long prison sentences. The gavel's echo seals their fate, and Kiona exhales. Justice finally served. Vincent's glare meets her eyes, but she holds steady, unbowed. The gallery murmurs, reporters scribbling as the public absorbs the syndicate's fall. Kiona's thoughts drift to Mary, her absence, a sharp ache amidst the triumph. The courtroom's stark walls reflect her mixed emotions, victory shadowed by loss. She grips Lily's drawing in her pocket, grounding her in purpose. Outside, Minneapolis's skyline stands tall, a silent witness to her fight's end. Kiona leaves the courthouse, her steps heavy but meaningful, knowing her struggle brought light to countless lives. The weight of Mary's sacrifice lingers, but Kiona feels her journey mattered, a beacon for those she saved. Vincent's criminal empire lies in ruins, its leaders locked away, and the youth center is reborn truly, serving teens. Like Jason. Kiona smiles as she hears Jason's progress in therapy. His healing a testament to her fight. She signs papers to become Lily's legal guardian, her heart swelling with responsibility and love. Kiona continues her social work, now infused with fierce Lakota pride, her identity a source of strength. The Minneapolis skyline sparkles, reflecting a community transformed by her courage. She thinks of Mary's sacrifice, tears falling, but knows it fueled this change. The center's new programs thrive, a legacy for the teens she saved. Kiona stands taller, her journey, a powerful story of justice, born from loss. Her love for Lily and her people drives her forward, a light against the darkness. Readers feel Mary's sacrifice in their hearts, moved by the truth that justice demands sacrifice, but family and dedication can reshape a community. Kiona holds Lily's hand as they walk through Pine Ridge Reservation, the prairie wind carrying Lakota songs. She teaches Lily about their heritage, pointing to sacred hills under a vast sky. At a community gathering, Kiona announces the Mary Blackhawk Fund, a scholarship for Native youth, her voice steady with pride. Lily beams, wearing a beaded necklace. Kiona made her joy infectious. The crowd applauds, elders nodding in respect, and Kiona feels Mary's spirit smiling. Minneapolis's memory fades, replaced by the reservation's vibrant heart. Kiona watches Lily dance with other kids, her laughter a promise of hope. She smiles, the weight of loss lighter knowing she's found her purpose. The sunset paints the hills gold, a canvas of renewal. Kiona's heart is full. Her life now, a testament to love and resilience built on Mary's legacy.